I can't continue in Rex Stout's exact voice, but I can continue with an original detective narrative that keeps the same kind of measured wit, deductive tension, and brownstone atmosphere. The trouble arrived at 10 minutes to 11 on a raw March morning when Wolfe was in the office pretending the weather had no standing in New York. He sat behind his desk with his eyes half shut and his fingertips together, which could mean profound thought or simple contempt for me. I was at my desk with the morning mail and coffee gone cold. Fritz had announced no appointment, and that gave any caller a handicap before crossing the threshold. The bell rang. Fritz appeared. "A woman to see Mr. Wolfe. She insists." "Did she bring a club?" I asked. "No, Mr. Goodwin, a box." Wolfe opened one eye. "What kind of box?" "Wooden, long." That got our attention. Nobody brought Nero Wolfe a long wooden box before lunch unless he was being threatened or sued. Wolfe moved one finger. "Bring her." She came in carrying the box herself. She was around 35, tall, dark-haired, dressed expensively, and holding a narrow wooden case about 3 feet long as if it contained glass or trouble. Her face was controlled, but barely. Her gloves were black. Her eyes looked as if sleep had refused them. She set the box on the red leather chair. "My name is Helen Vardis," she said. "I had no appointment because I was afraid you would refuse me." "You took the risk anyway," I said. She flicked a glance at me and turned to Wolfe. "Mr. Wolfe, yesterday my brother was buried in the wrong coffin." That landed. Wolfe straightened. "Sit down." She sat. I got my notebook out. "Your brother's name?" "Leon Vardas. He owned Vardas Imports. 3 days ago he died of a heart attack at his home in Riverdale. Yesterday he was buried. Last night I learned that the coffin lowered into the ground was not the one closed after the family viewing." I said, "That's a large mistake for a funeral home." "It was not a mistake." Wolfe grunted. "How do you know?" "Because an object I placed inside the coffin is missing." His eyes sharpened. "What object?" "A black notebook. Small. Oilskin cover. My brother kept it hidden for years. 2 nights before he died, he showed it to me and made me promise it would be buried with him." "Why?" I asked. "He said the wrong people would kill to get it." I leaned back. "A notebook worth killing for. Nice and modest." She turned to me sharply. "My brother was frightened, Mr. Goodwin, so he was not theatrical." Wolfe said, "How did you learn it was missing?" "The funeral director's assistant telephoned me this morning from a public booth. He said only, 'What went in was not what went down.'" Then he hung up. "When I called the funeral home, they said he had not come to work." That improved matters. "Who besides you knew about the notebook?" I asked. "Only my brother, unless he told someone else before he died." Wolfe closed his eyes. "And the notebook contained?" "I don't know exactly. Names, perhaps. Payments, agreements. Once he called it his insurance." "Against what?" "He said that if one man broke faith, 4 others would fall with him." That had the proper odor. I wrote it down. Wolfe said, "Why bury it instead of burning it?" She met his eyes. He said a dead man may still need leverage. I asked, "Who attended the viewing?" She gave me 5 names. Daniel Krell, Leon's business partner. Vivian Dane, his secretary. Father Sebastian March, an old family friend. Owen Pell, his attorney. Adrian Tappan, a former associate who now hated Leon in several departments. Wolfe made a small noise. "Why come here instead of the police?" "Because if I tell the police about the notebook, everyone connected with it will know it is missing. I want it found before that happens." "If someone stole it," I said. "They probably know already." "Yes," she said, "but they may not know whether I know." That was sound enough to keep. Wolfe shifted one paper on his desk by an inch. Then he said, "Archie will accompany you to the funeral home. He will inspect the records, inquire about the assistant. and determine whether the coffin was opened. I shall decide later whether to accept employment." "No," she said. "You decide now, or I leave with the box." I looked at the box. We nearly forgot the lumber. She turned, lifted the lid, and showed us what it held. It was a miniature coffin of walnut, lined with white satin, meant for a doll or a bad joke. Inside lay a wilted orchid and an envelope addressed in neat handwriting to Nero Wolfe. Wolfe's lips tightened. "Archie." I had risen. Whatever had arrived at our brownstone, it had manners, nerve, and a talent for getting admitted. I took the envelope out of the little coffin with 2 fingers, the way you lift something that might bite. The paper was good stock, cream-colored, the address written in a neat, disciplined hand that didn't waste motion. No stamp, no seal, just a flap tucked in. Wolfe said, "Open it." I did, and inside was a single sheet. I unfolded it and read silently first, because habit is habit, and then aloud. "Mr. Wolfe, you will forgive the theatrics. They are necessary when one wishes to be taken seriously without shouting. What you see is a model. The original is presently unavailable. What was buried yesterday contained no secrets. What was not buried contains many. If you concern yourself, you will be given an opportunity to earn your fee. If you do not, others will suffer inconvenience. Consider that an inducement, not a threat. You may begin by asking why a man who feared betrayal chose burial over destruction. You will find the answer is not sentimental. A friend." I folded the sheet and looked at Wolfe. "Friendly fellow. He even saved you the trouble of guessing your fee." Helen Vardas hadn't moved, but her eyes were on me. "So he has it." "Looks that way," I said. "Either he has it or wants us to think he does, which amounts to the same thing until proven otherwise." Wolfe held out his hand. I gave him the letter. He read it once, then again, slower, and then placed it flat on his desk, aligning it with the edge as if it were a witness he intended to cross-examine later. "You brought this with you," he said to Miss Vardas. "Why?" "It was delivered to my apartment this morning by messenger." "No name." "I came here at once." "Before or after the telephone call from the assistant?" "After." Wolfe nodded. "Archie." "Yeah. Note the sequence. The assistant calls from a public booth and disappears. A letter arrives. Time to proceed any police inquiry. The sender wishes to control the tempo. That is discourteous." "It's worse," I said. He also wants to hire you without paying in advance." Miss Vardas leaned forward. "You will take the case." Wolfe looked at her as if she had suggested he take up jogging. "I have not agreed." "You will," she said, "because the notebook concerns 5 people, and if what my brother told me is true, it could ruin them. If it is used, it will not be used gently." "That is not my concern," Wolfe said. "It will be," she said quietly. "One of those 5 is Daniel Krell." Wolfe's eyes opened a fraction wider. "Your brother's partner?" "Yes. And why should that interest me?" "Because Mr. Krell contributes annually to the Orchid Society of America and has, on more than one occasion, supplied you with rare specimens." I turned my head to look at Wolfe. He didn't move, but a certain small tightening around his mouth told me the arrow had landed. So she continued, "If the notebook is used against him, he will be destroyed. If it is used by him, others will be. My brother said it was insurance. I think it was a weapon." Wolfe said, "Everything is a weapon in incompetent hands." "Then keep it out of them," she said. He closed his eyes. That usually meant the conversation had entered the part where he did his thinking and expected the rest of us to keep quiet. I obliged for 5 seconds. Miss Vardas managed 10. Finally, Wolfe spoke. "Archie will go to the funeral home. He will verify whether the coffin was opened or substituted. He will locate the assistant or determine why he cannot be located. He will then visit Mr. Krell and the others you have named. He will not mention the notebook. He will listen." Miss Vardas said. And you? I will remain here, Wolfe said, and consider whether to accept employment. That is not sufficient. It is what you have. She stood. Very well. I will expect results. You may expect what I choose to provide, Wolfe said. Fritz will show you out. She hesitated, then gave a small nod and left with the miniature coffin still on the chair. I picked it up and handed it to her at the door. She took it without looking at me. When the door closed, I turned back. Well, Wolfe opened his eyes. We are engaged. I thought so. The orchids tip the scale. Phooey. The orchids are irrelevant. The letter is not. Because it insults your manners. Because it assumes my compliance, he said. That is intolerable. Good, I said. Intolerable pays better than orchids. I got my hat and coat. Funeral home first. Archie. I stopped. Yeah? Be attentive to details that are not offered. The sender wishes to guide us. We will not be guided. I'll keep my leash short, I said, and went out. The wind had teeth. I hailed a cab and gave the driver the address of Hargrove and Dunning, funeral directors, which sounded like a law firm that had gone respectable. The place was on the east side, narrow frontage, polished brass, and a door that opened quietly enough to suggest money. Inside, it smelled of flowers and discretion. A man in a black suit approached, professional and pale. Yes, sir? Archie Goodwin. I'd like to see Mr. Hargrove. I'm Mr. Hargrove, he said. That saves time. I'm here about the Vardas funeral. He blinked once. I'm afraid I cannot discuss our clients. I'm not asking you to discuss them. I'm asking you to discuss your coffins. He didn't like that, but he didn't throw me out. Please be specific. Was the coffin containing Leon Vardas opened after it was sealed? No. Was it ever out of your custody? Certainly not. Then how did your assistant come to telephone Miss Vardas this morning from a public booth to say that what went in was not what went down? That hit him. His color changed a shade. I beg your pardon. You heard me. He drew himself up. I have no knowledge of any such call. Which assistant? You tell me. He hesitated a fraction too long. Mr. Dunning is not in today. I didn't ask about Mr. Dunning. I will need to consult our records, he said. Do that, I said. And while you're at it, tell me the name of the man who prepared the Vardas coffin, the man who sealed it, and the man who supervised the burial. He looked at me as if I had asked for his grandmother's maiden name. Then he said, Wait here, and went through a door. I waited. The flowers watched me. Somewhere in the back, a phone rang and was answered quickly. I took a slow look around and saw nothing out of place, which in a place like that is the first thing out of place. When Hargrove came back, he had a paper in his hand and a decision made. I will give you the names, he said, but I must insist that any further inquiry be directed through counsel. Of course, I said. I always enjoy counsel. He handed me the paper. 3 names. One of them was unfamiliar. One of them I knew, and the third was the assistant who had not come to work. Where does he live? I asked. I cannot. Try, I said. He tried. He failed. I thanked him, but folded the paper and went out into the wind again with the feeling that the day had decided to earn its keep. The wind didn't improve my opinion of the day, but it helped me think. I stood on the curb with the paper from Hargrove in my pocket and went over the 3 names again before climbing into another cab. One was the assistant who had made the call and then evaporated, Eddie Blaine. One was the man who had sealed the coffin, Carl Bissett. The third was the supervisor at the burial, Thomas Riker. I knew Riker. Not personally, but enough to know he had been around funerals longer than most people had been around trouble, and he had a reputation for doing things correctly the first time. That left 2 variables and 1 known quantity, which is as close to a starting point as you get in our business. And I told the driver to take me to Blaine's address, which Hargrove had not given me, but which I had managed to extract from a look at his hesitation and a quick call from the hall phone before leaving. People who say nothing often say plenty if you watch their eyes while they're saying it. Blaine lived in a narrow walk-up on the west side, the kind of place where the hallway smells like cooking and secrets. I went up 2 flights and knocked on his door. No answer. I knocked again, louder, still nothing. A woman across the hall opened her door 3 inches and looked out. She had curlers and suspicion. "You looking for Eddie?" she asked. "I am." "He ain't there." "Since when?" "Since last night. Maybe earlier." "He didn't come home. That's not like him." "Why not?" "He pays his rent." That was a point. "Did anyone come looking for him?" she thought. "A man this morning, before you." "Describe him." "Tall, hat pulled down, didn't smile." "Helpful," I said. "Which way did he go?" She shrugged. "Away." I thanked her and went back down. Eddie Blaine was missing, and someone else had already noticed. That narrowed things in a way I didn't like. Next stop was Carl Bissett. He lived in Queens, which gave me time in the cab to think about coffins and substitutions. You don't switch a coffin by accident, and you don't open one without someone noticing unless you've arranged for them not to notice. That meant cooperation, or timing, or both. It also meant that if the notebook hadn't been buried, it had been removed before the coffin was sealed or after it was reopened. Either way, it involved hands that knew what they were doing. The Bissett's house was small, neat, and had a trimmed hedge that suggested a man who liked order. He opened the door himself, wearing a shirt with the sleeves rolled and a face that didn't welcome surprises. "Yeah?" "Carl Bissett." "Who's asking?" "Archie Goodwin. I want to talk to you about the Varda's funeral." His jaw tightened. "I did my job." "I'm sure you did. That's why I'm here." He hesitated, then stepped back. "Make it quick." I went in. The place was tidy enough to make Fritz nod approval. Bissett gestured to a chair. I stayed standing. "You sealed the coffin," I said. "Yeah." "Did you open it again after that?" "No." "Did anyone else?" "Not that I saw." "Who had access?" He frowned. "It was in the preparation room until it was moved. Staff only." "Names?" He gave me 2, neither of them Blaine. And Riker was there when we moved it. "Any interruptions?" "No." "Any reason to think the contents weren't what they were supposed to be?" He looked at me hard. "What are you getting at?" "I'm asking questions." "And I'm telling you, nothing was wrong. The family saw the body. We closed it. I sealed it. It went out. End of story." "Except it isn't," I said, "because someone thinks something went in that didn't come out." He snorted. "People think a lot of things." "Do you know Eddie Blaine?" "Sure. Kid runs errands, helps out." "Where is he?" "How should I know?" "He didn't come home last night." That got a flicker. So he made a phone call this morning that suggests the coffin wasn't what it was supposed to be. Bissett's eyes narrowed. "You got proof of that?" "I've got enough to ask you if anyone could have opened that coffin without you knowing." "No," he said. Then, after a beat, "Not unless they had a key." "A key to what?" "To the prep room. And they'd have to know what they were doing. You don't just pop one open and close it again like a lunchbox." "Who has keys?" "Management. Me. A couple others." "Does Blaine?" "No." "Could he get one?" Bissett shrugged. "If someone gave it to him." That was as far as he was going to go without a crowbar, and I don't use those on witnesses unless Wolfe insists, which he never does. I thanked him and left. The air felt colder. Riker was next. He was at a cemetery office in the Bronx, sitting behind a desk with a ledger that looked older than he was. He recognized me, which saved introductions. "Goodwin," he said. "What brings you out here?" "Planning ahead." "Not for myself," I said. "I want to talk about yesterday." He nodded slowly. "Vardas. That's the one. You supervised the burial?" "I did." "Everything routine?" "As routine as it gets." "Coffin was never out of your sight?" "No." "Anyone approach it?" "Family was there. A few stood close." "Nothing unusual." "Any reason to think it wasn't the same coffin that left the funeral home?" He leaned back. "No." "Would you know if it wasn't?" "Yes." "Why?" "Weight, balance. You handle enough of them, you know." "And this one?" "Right." I watched him. He wasn't lying, or if he was, he had practiced longer than I had been asking questions. "Do you know Eddie Blaine?" I asked. He shook his head. "Name doesn't ring." "Then we're done," I said. And I headed back to the brownstone with 3 interviews that said nothing was wrong and 1 missing assistant who said something was. The letter in Wolfe's office said someone wanted us to think it mattered. That meant it did. When I got back, Wolfe was where I had left him, which is to say exactly where he wanted to be. He looked at me without speaking. "Well?" he said. "Everyone did their job perfectly," I said, "except the one guy who disappeared." "Good," Wolfe said. "Then we will begin by assuming perfection is a lie." I took off my coat and gave him the details, in order and without embroidery, because Wolfe prefers facts served plain and then seasoned to taste. He listened with his eyes closed, fingertips together again, and didn't interrupt once, which meant he was either satisfied or preparing to be dissatisfied in a more elaborate way. When I finished, he said, "The assistant." "Eddie Blaine," I said. "Missing since last night. A neighbor saw a man come looking for him this morning. Tall, hat, no smile." "An unhelpful description," Wolfe murmured. "It fits half the city," I said. "But he made the call. That gives him motive or conscience." "Or both," Wolfe said. "Did he have access?" "Not officially. Bissett says he didn't have a key to the prep room, but he could have borrowed one, or been given one. Or the coffin was altered before it reached the prep room," Wolfe said. "Meaning the switch happened earlier." "Meaning," Wolfe said, "we do not yet know when the substitution occurred, and only that someone wishes us to believe it occurred after the viewing." That's what the assistant implied. "Yes," Wolfe said, "and the letter confirms that implication. Therefore, we must consider the possibility that both are lies." I sat. "You think the notebook was never in the coffin?" "I think," Wolfe said, "that a man who keeps a dangerous record for years does not surrender it to burial without ensuring that it cannot be retrieved. He told his sister to bury it." "He told his sister many things," Wolfe said. "We have only her account of them. Did you see this notebook?" "No." "Did she describe its contents precisely?" "No." "Then we have a legend," Wolfe said. "Not a fact." "Still," I said, "someone went to the trouble of sending you a letter and a toy coffin to point at it." "Indeed," Wolfe said, "which suggests the notebook exists and that its location is disputed." "By at least 2 parties," I said, "the one who wrote the letter and the one who made the call." "Or one party playing 2 roles," Wolfe said. "Keeping us entertained," I said. "Attempting to direct us," Wolfe corrected, "which we will resist." The doorbell rang. We both looked toward the hall. Fritz appeared a moment later. "Mr. Wolfe, a gentleman to see you. He gives the name Daniel Krell." Wolfe opened his eyes. "Show him in." I stayed where I was. Timing again. Krell hadn't been summoned, which meant he had reasons of his own. He came in briskly, well-dressed, controlled, and carrying the kind of impatience that belongs to men who are used to getting answers before they finish asking questions. He was in his 50s, solid build, hair receding but disciplined, the eyes sharp enough to cut. "Mr. Wolfe," he said, without sitting, "I understand you have been engaged by Miss Vardas." Wolfe did not rise. You understand incorrectly. Sit down. Krell hesitated, then sat. He glanced at me. And you are? Archie Goodwin, I said. I ask the questions you don't like. He ignored that and turned back to Wolfe. I will be direct. There is a document missing. I believe you have been told of it. Wolfe said, I have been told of many things today. You will have to be more specific. Krell's jaw tightened. A notebook. My late partner kept it. It contained private business records. Define private, Wolfe said. Confidential agreements, financial arrangements. Illegal, Wolfe asked. Krell met his eyes. Sensitive. That is not a definition, Wolfe said. It is sufficient, Krell snapped. But then he checked himself. Mr. Wolfe, that notebook must be found. If it falls into the wrong hands, whose hands would be wrong? Wolfe asked mildly. Krell hesitated. Anyone not authorized? Authorized by whom? By me, Krell said. I smiled. Convenient. He ignored me again. Miss Vardas has no understanding of the implications. She believes it should have been buried. That was a mistake. A mistake made by your partner, Wolfe said. Or by his sister. Krell leaned forward. Mr. Wolfe, I am prepared to retain your services. Generously. But I require discretion. You require obedience, Wolfe said. That I do not provide. I require results. Then you may hope for them, Wolfe said. What interest do you have in this notebook beyond its confidentiality? Krell's eyes flickered. It contains records of transactions that, if misinterpreted, could damage reputations. Yours, I asked. Among others. Such as Vivian Dane, I said. Or Owen Pell? Or Adrian Tappan? He looked at me sharply. You have been busy. I've had a day, I said. Wolfe said, Why come here now, Mr. Krell? Because I have reason to believe the notebook was not buried, Krell said, and that someone intends to use it. On whom? Wolfe asked. On me, Krell said. Why you? Wolfe said. Because I am the most visible, Krell said, and the most vulnerable. Visibility does not imply vulnerability, Wolfe said. In this case, it does, Krell said. Explain. Krell hesitated again. The notebook contains records of payments made on behalf of several parties. If those records are exposed, the consequences will not be limited to me. Names, Wolfe said. Krell shook his head. Not yet. Then you ask me to act in ignorance, Wolfe said. I ask you to act in trust. Wolfe's lips twitched. I do not traffic in trust. Krell leaned back, frustration showing now. Then let me be clearer. If that notebook is not recovered, there will be legal action, financial damage, and possibly worse. Worse, I said. Krell looked at me. People do not protect secrets like that with polite conversation. Neither do they bury them, I said. He didn't answer. Wolfe said, Who else knows the notebook is missing? Krell hesitated. I cannot say. Then you will not say, Wolfe corrected. That is different. Krell stood. Mr. Wolfe, I'm offering you an opportunity. You are offering me a complication, Wolfe said. I've accepted it. Krell stared at him. Then you will act. I will think, Wolfe said, and I will listen. Archie will continue to inquire. If you wish to assist, you will answer questions when asked. Fully. Krell's mouth tightened. Very well. He turned to go, then paused. One more thing. If you are contacted by anyone claiming to have the notebook, you will inform me immediately. Wolfe said, No. Krell's head snapped around. No? No, Wolfe repeated. If I'm contacted, I will respond as I see fit. Krell held his gaze for a long second, then nodded once. Then I hope you see fit to be wise. He left. I waited until the door closed. He's worried. Yes, Wolfe said. Enough to come here without being asked. Yes. Which means the notebook is real, I said. Or he wishes us to believe it is, Wolfe said. Either way, I said. Someone's about to get squeezed. Wolfe nodded. And we must determine who is applying the pressure, yea, and why they have chosen this moment. I picked up my notebook. Next stop? Wolfe opened his eyes fully now. Miss Vivian Dane, he said. If the notebook contains what Mr. Krell implies, she will know more than she is told. Secretary with secrets, I said. My favorite kind. Be cautious, Wolfe said. She may be more than a secretary. I grinned. They usually are. I got my coat again, feeling the pieces start to move into something that looked less like coincidence and more like design. Someone had taken a notebook that might ruin 5 people and decided to play a game with it. The rules weren't written down, but the stakes were. And somewhere, in the middle of it, a missing assistant had made a phone call that didn't fit. That made him either a witness, a pawn, or the first casualty. The Vivian Dane's office was 3 floors above a showroom that displayed imported furniture with the kind of polish that suggested nobody ever sat on it. The brass plate on the door read, "Vardas Imports," in letters that didn't waste curves. I gave my name to a receptionist who had perfected the art of smiling without commitment, and she asked me to wait. I didn't sit. I took a slow look around instead. Clean lines, controlled lighting, everything in its place. A business that valued order and presentation, which matched what I'd heard about Leon Vardas. If he kept a dangerous notebook, it wouldn't have been lying around under a paperweight. Mr. Goodwin? I turned. Vivian Dane stood in the doorway to an inner office. She was in her early 30s, composed, efficient, and dressed in a way that suggested she understood the value of understatement. Her eyes were sharp, but not unfriendly. Miss Dane, I said. Thanks for seeing me. Come in? Her office was smaller, but no less precise. Desk clear, files aligned, a single vase with fresh flowers that looked like they had been instructed where to stand. You're Mr. Wolfe's assistant, she said as I took a chair. That's right, I do the walking. And the asking, she said. That too. She folded her hands. How can I help you? I'm here about the Vardas funeral, I said. Her expression didn't change, but something behind it shifted. A difficult day. I imagine, I said. I also imagine it's gotten more complicated. She watched me. In what way? There's a notebook missing, I said. One that your employer kept. She didn't flinch, and which told me she had either heard that before or was very good at not hearing things she didn't like. I don't know what you're referring to, she said. That's possible, I said. But not likely. Why not? Because you're the one person in this office who would know what Mr. Vardas kept, where he kept it, and who he trusted with it. That's an assumption. It's a job description, I said. She leaned back slightly. Mr. Goodwin, I handled Mr. Vardas's schedule, correspondence, and general affairs. I was not his confidant. No, I said. Then who was? She hesitated. Just a fraction. He was a private man. Private enough to keep a notebook that could hurt people, I said. Her eyes sharpened. You're speaking in rumors. I'm speaking in possibilities, I said, which tend to become facts if you wait long enough. She stood and went to the window, looking down at the street for a moment before turning back. What do you want from me? Information, I said, about Mr. Vardas's last few days. Anyone he met, anything unusual, any change in behavior. She considered that. He was preoccupied, she said finally. With what? I don't know. He cancelled 2 meetings, postponed another, and spent a great deal of time alone in his office. Anyone come to see him? Yes. Names. She hesitated again, longer this time. Mr. Krell, of course. Mr. Pell and Mr. Tappan. All three? I said. Yes. Together or separately? Separately. Order? Krell first, then Pell, then Tappan. That's a nice lineup, I said. What about you? Did he talk to you? Not about anything specific, she said. He gave me instructions regarding certain files in case something happened. Something like dying. She didn't answer that. What kind of files? I asked. Financial records. Contracts. Nothing unusual. Nothing sensitive. All business is sensitive, she said. Some more than others, I said. She didn't reply. I leaned forward a little. Miss Dane, Mr. Krell came to see Wolfe this morning. That got her attention. Why? Because he thinks the notebook is missing and might be used against him. Her lips pressed together. Did he say that? He said enough. She moved back to her chair and sat. Then you should speak to him. We have, I said. Now we're speaking to you. She looked at me steadily. Mr. Goodwin, if such a notebook exists, I have never seen it. Did you know of its existence? No. Did Mr. Vardas ever mention keeping records outside the usual channels? No. Did he trust Mr. Krell? She paused. He trusted him as far as business required. Meaning not very far, I said. She allowed a faint smile. Meaning he was careful. With everyone? Yes. Even you? Her eyes met mine. Especially me. That was honest, or close enough to it. Tell me about Mr. Tappan, I said. Former associate, now not. Her expression cooled. Mr. Tappan left under unpleasant circumstances. Whose? Everyone's, she said. There were disagreements, financial ones. Did he have a reason to want leverage over Mr. Vardas? Yes. Did he get it? I don't know. Did he ask for it? She shook her head. Not directly. But he came to see Mr. Vardas 2 days before he died. Yes. How did that meeting go? Badly, she said. They argued. Their voices were raised. About what? I couldn't hear clearly. Try, I said. She hesitated, then said, something about accounts and settlement. Mr. Vardas told him to leave. And he did? Yes. Angry? Yes. Threatening, she thought. Not in words, but in tone. Good, I said. Tone lasts longer. She didn't appreciate that. Last question, I said. Did you attend the viewing? Yes. Did you see anything unusual? No. Did you place anything in the coffin? Her eyes flickered. No. Did anyone? I don't know. Miss Vardas says she did, I said. Vivian Dane went still. What? A notebook, I said. She claims she placed it in the coffin before it was sealed. For the first time, she lost control of her expression, just for a second. But it was there. That's impossible, she said. Why? Because the coffin was closed immediately after the viewing. No one had access after that. Except the staff, I said. And they would not... She stopped. They would not what? I asked. She shook her head. Nothing. I stood. Thanks for your time. Mr. Goodwin, she said as I reached the door. I turned. If this notebook exists, she said carefully, and if someone has it, you should be very careful who you trust. I smiled. That's why I work for Wolfe. I went out, leaving her with her files and her control, both of which had shown a crack. Back on the street, I paused long enough to make a note. Vivian Dane hadn't seen the notebook, but she believed it hadn't been in the coffin. That put her closer to Krell than to Miss Vardas, which meant either they were both wrong or both right. And if they were right, then the notebook had never been buried, which meant someone had taken it before the funeral, which meant the game had started earlier than anyone wanted to admit. I didn't go back to the brownstone right away. When a line starts to form, it pays to see where it bends before you report it. Vivian Dane had given me 3 meetings in order. Krell, Pell, Tappan, and one argument that had turned sour. If the notebook had vanished before the funeral, the last man to see Vardas alive and angry deserved another look. Adrian Tappan's office was in a building that had once been respectable and now was trying to remember how. The directory listed him as a consultant, which usually means he consults his bank balance and worries. I took the stairs. His door was open. He sat behind a desk with more papers than order, sleeves rolled, tie loosened, and eyes that had seen better arrangements and didn't expect them to return. "Mr. Tappan?" I said. He looked up. "Depends who's asking." "Archie Goodwin. I'm looking into Leon Vardas." He gave a short laugh. "You and half the city, apparently. Come in." I did. "I hear you saw him 2 days before he died." "I did. And you argued." "We had a discussion," he said. "It got energetic." "About accounts and settlement," I said. He watched me for a second, then nodded. "That's fair." "Yours or his?" "Both," he said. "We had unfinished business." "Finish it?" I asked. "No," he said. "He told me to leave." "Did you?" "Eventually." "Did you threaten him?" "I didn't need to," he said. He knew what I wanted. Which was? What I was owed. And what was that? He leaned back. "Let's say I had reason to believe certain arrangements had been made without my full consent." "Financial arrangements," I said. "Is there another kind that matters?" he asked. "There are several," I said. "Some of them involve notebooks." He didn't move. "What notebook?" "The one everyone doesn't want to talk about," I said. "The one that might list those arrangements." He smiled thinly. "If such a thing exists, I've never seen it." "Did you ask Vardas for it?" "No." "Did you know he kept records?" "I knew he kept everything," Tappan said. "He was a collector of goods, of people, of leverage." "Leverage," I said. "That's the word of the day." "It's always the word," he said. "Did you get anything from him when you left that meeting?" I asked. "No." "Did he offer you anything?" "No." "Did he refuse you anything?" "Yes," he said. Clarity." "Meaning?" "He said what had been done was done," Tappan said, "and that I should accept it." "And you didn't." "I don't accept things that cost me money," he said. "Did you see anyone else there?" "No." "Did you come back later?" "No." "Did you attend the viewing?" He hesitated. "No." "Why not?" "I prefer my memories intact," he said. "That's neat," I said. "But inconvenient." "For whom?" "For me," I said. "You're the only one of the 5 who didn't see the coffin before it was closed. And that matters because someone might have put something in it," I said. He gave me a look that said he was weighing whether to laugh or throw me out. He chose neither. "You're suggesting a man hid something in his own coffin." "I'm suggesting someone wants us to think he did," I said. Tappan leaned forward. "Mr. Goodwin, as if there's a document out there that proves I was cut out of something, I want it. If it proves I wasn't, I still want it. But I don't need theatrics to find it." "Then how do you plan to find it?" "I don't," he said. "I plan to wait." "For what?" "For someone to make a mistake," he said. I nodded. "That's patient." "It's cheaper," he said. I stood. "If you get impatient, call me." "I won't," he said. "Everyone says that," I told him and left. On the way down the stairs, I went over it. Tappan hadn't seen the coffin. He hadn't seen the notebook. He had motive enough to want it and temperament enough to wait for it. That made him dangerous in a quiet way, which Wolfe respects and I watch. Back on the street, I headed for the brownstone. By the time I got there, and the light had shifted, and the day had settled into that grey that makes decisions feel heavier. Wolfe was in the office. He looked up as I came in. "Well." I gave him Tappan, as I had given him the others. Clean in order, with the edges left where they were. When I finished, he said, "And Miss Dane believes the notebook was not in the coffin." Yes. Mr. Krell believes it was not buried. Yes. Miss Vardas believes she placed it in the coffin. Yes. And Mr. Tappan has no opinion. He has an appetite, I said, for whatever it contains. Wolfe nodded. As do the others. Therefore, we have 3 assertions: that the notebook was buried, that it was not buried, and that it never entered the coffin. All cannot be true. Pick one, I said. I decline, Wolfe said. Instead, I will examine why each is being asserted. Miss Vardas says she put it in, I said. If she's lying, she wants us to believe it's gone. If she's telling the truth, someone took it. And if she is mistaken, Wolfe said, she may have placed something in the coffin that was not the notebook. I blinked. A substitute? Or nothing at all, Wolfe said. Grief is an unreliable witness. Then Krell, I said. He wants it found before it's used. Or he wishes us to recover it for him, Wolfe said, which implies he does not possess it. Or wants us to think he doesn't, I said. Indeed, Wolfe said. Miss Dane aligns with Mr. Krell. That is interesting. They're on the same side, I said. Or appear to be, Wolfe corrected. Appearances are the currency of deception. I sat. So where do we spend it? Wolfe was silent for a moment, and then said, The assistant. Blaine. Yes. He makes a call, then disappears. He is sought by another party before you arrive. He is therefore a pivot. Meaning he saw something, I said. Or did something. Or both, Wolfe said. We must find him. Working on it, I said. The phone rang. I picked it up. Nero Wolfe's office. A voice said, low and controlled, Mr. Goodwin. Depends, I said. Who's asking? Tell Mr. Wolfe that the inconvenience he was warned of has begun. I straightened. You're the one who wrote the letter. A pause. I'm the one who understands it. What's begun? I asked. You will see, the voice said. Very soon. The line went dead. I hung up slowly and looked at Wolfe. Our friend says the inconvenience has started. Wolfe's eyes were open now, fully. Good, he said. We have waited long enough. I didn't like the way he said it. Not because it was wrong, but because it meant the game had decided to move from suggestion to action, and when that happens, someone usually pays for the transition. I had just set the receiver down when the doorbell rang again. The timing was too neat to ignore, and Wolfe didn't like neat timing unless he had arranged it himself. Fritz, he called. We both waited. Fritz went, and voices came back, low, then a sharper one that didn't belong to Fritz. A moment later, Fritz appeared in the doorway, not entirely pleased. Mr. Wolfe, Mr. Saul Panzer. That improved matters. Wolfe nodded. Send him in. Saul came in with his usual economy. Coat still on, hat in hand, eyes taking in the room in a single pass and keeping what they found. So he gave me a nod and Wolfe a look that meant he had something and didn't intend to waste it. You're quick, I said. I was nearby. Saul said, which could mean anything from 2 blocks to 2 boroughs. Wolfe said, report. Saul stayed standing. Your assistant, Eddie Blaine. I found him. That moved the air in the room. Alive? I asked. For the moment, Saul said. Not well. He's in a room over a bar on 9th. He's been worked over. Not professionally, but enough. Who did it? I said. He didn't say, Saul said. Or couldn't. He's scared. Bring him, Wolfe said. I didn't, Saul said. He wouldn't move. Says if he leaves, he's dead. If he stays, maybe not. Convenient, I said. Real, Saul said. He made the call this morning. Says he saw something at the funeral home last night. Wolfe leaned forward. What? Saul shook his head. He won't say until he talks to you, specifically. I raised a brow. He's particular for a man in his condition. He's desperate, Saul said. There's a difference. Wolfe said, Archie will go with you. Bring him here. Saul looked at me. You ready? I was already up. Always. Wolfe said, be careful. If he has seen something of value, others will seek to silence him. Someone already tried, I said. Yes, Wolfe said. They may try again with greater competence. Saul and I went out together. The air hadn't improved, but now it had purpose. In the cab, Saul gave me what he had. He works late, Saul said. Cleans up, locks up. Last night he stayed after the others left. Says he heard something in the prep room. A coffin opening, I said. Maybe, Saul said. He went to look. Says the door was unlocked. Which it shouldn't have been, I said. Right, Saul said. He looks in, sees a man with the coffin open. Description, I asked. Didn't get one, Saul said. Lights were low. Man had his back to him. Blaine says he saw the inside. No body. I turned to look at him. No body? That's what he says, Saul said. Then the man turns, and Blaine runs. Says he didn't wait to see more. And he didn't report it, I said. He tried this morning, Saul said. Called the sister. Then someone found him before he could do more. Found him how? I asked. He says the same man, or someone like him, Saul said. Tall, hat, no smile. That's getting repetitive, I said. It's also getting consistent, Saul said. We pulled up in front of a place that looked like it had given up arguing with the city years ago, and Saul led the way up a narrow stair to a room that smelled of stale air and worry. Blaine was on the bed, propped up with pillows that had seen better arrangements. His face was bruised, one eye half closed, lips split. He looked at us with a mix of hope and suspicion. You him? He said. Archie Goodwin, I said. That's Saul. We work for Wolfe. He nodded weakly. I want to see him. You will, I said. After you tell me what you saw. He shook his head. No, I tell him. You're not in a position to bargain, I said. I am if I don't talk, he said. Then nobody knows. Saul glanced at me. He had a point. Fine, I said. We'll take you to him. But you talk on the way. He hesitated, then nodded. Help me up. We got him into a coat and down the stairs without breaking him further. In the cab, he sat between us, breathing carefully. Start talking, I said. He swallowed. I stayed late, cleaning up. Heard something in the prep room. Door was open. That ain't right. I go to look. Go on, I said. I see the coffin open, he said. The Varda's one. I know it. I helped move it. And inside, I said. He licked his lips. Nothing. No body, I said. He shook his head. Nothing. Then what was the man doing? I asked. Looking, Blaine said. Like he expected something to be there. Did you see his face? I asked. No. He turned. I ran. Why run? I said. If there's no body, that's a problem for the funeral home, not you. Blaine looked at me. You don't get it, he said. If there's no body, then where is it? That was a point. And the notebook? I said. Did you see anything like that? He shook his head. No, just empty. Then why call Miss Vardas? I asked. Because she said she put something in there, he said. I heard her at the viewing. She slipped something in, thought nobody saw. That shifted it again. And then it wasn't there, I said. Yeah, he said. So either she didn't put it in, or someone took it. But the body... He stopped, breathing harder. Easy, I said. You're doing fine. He looked at me. You got to find out what's going on. They'll kill me if they think I know. Who? I said. He shook his head. I don't know, but they're watching. We pulled up in front of the brownstone. Fritz opened the door before we rang, which meant Wolfe had been expecting us. We got Blaine inside and into the office. Wolfe watched him without moving, eyes sharp, taking in everything. "This is the assistant," Wolfe said. "Yes," I said, "and he's got a problem." Wolfe nodded. "So it appears. So sit him down." We did. Blaine looked at Wolfe like a man who had reached the last place he could think of. "You wish to speak to me," Wolfe said. Blaine nodded. "Yeah." "Then speak," Wolfe said. Blaine swallowed. The coffin was empty. Wolfe didn't react. "When you saw it?" "Yeah. And before that?" "I don't know," Blaine said. "I didn't look." Wolfe steepled his fingers. "Then we have a coffin that was viewed with a body, sealed and later opened to reveal none. That is, untidy." I said, "And our friend on the phone said the inconvenience had begun." Wolfe's eyes flicked to me. "Yes." Blaine leaned forward, desperate. "What does that mean?" Wolfe looked at him steadily. "It means, Mr. Blaine, that we are no longer dealing with a missing notebook alone." I felt it settle then, the shift from a controlled problem to something wider. "Then what are we dealing with?" I asked. Wolfe's voice was calm. "With a disappearance that cannot be explained by error." Blaine whispered, "The body." Wolfe nodded. "Yes, the body." Nobody spoke for a moment after Wolfe said it. The word body has a way of changing the furniture in a room, even when it isn't present. Blaine made a small sound, like he had been holding it in and couldn't anymore. "I didn't touch nothing," he said. "I just looked and ran." "You will cease repeating that," Wolfe said. "It is understood." Blaine nodded, grateful for the permission to stop defending himself. I said, "We've got 3 moving parts now, the notebook, the empty coffin, and a man who wants us to think he's in charge of both." "4, Wolfe said. I looked at him. "Huh, 4. "The body," he said, "which has been removed by someone with purpose. Bodies are not mislaid." "Unless we're being lied to about that too," I said. Wolfe turned his head slightly. "You doubt Mr. Blaine?" "I doubt everything," I said, "including my own lunch when Fritz experiments." Blaine looked at me like I'd insulted his mother. I gave him a nod to keep him steady. Wolfe said, "Mr. Blaine is frightened, injured, and consistent. Those are not conditions favorable to invention. I accept his account provisionally." "Then we've got a body walking around without paperwork," I said. "Or a body that has been transferred," Wolfe said. "The distinction matters." "Why?" I asked. "Because removal implies intent beyond concealment," Wolfe said. "Concealment would suffice if the object were merely to prevent discovery. Transfer implies use." I leaned back. "You're saying someone took the body for a reason, not just to hide it?" "Yes." "And the notebook?" "Possibly connected," Wolfe said. "Possibly a distraction." "That's a neat trick," I said. "Steal a corpse and hide it behind a notebook." "Or steal a notebook and hide it behind a corpse," Wolfe said. Saul shifted his weight. "You want him kept here?" he asked, nodding at Blaine. "Yes," Wolfe said. "Fritz will prepare a room. Mr. Blaine will remain under our protection until we determine the extent of his danger." Blaine let out a breath that sounded like it had been costing him money. "Thanks," he said. "Do not thank me," Wolfe said. "You're a piece of evidence." Blaine blinked. "Yeah," he said after a second. "Okay." Fritz appeared as if summoned by the word room, and Saul took Blaine out with him. The door closed. I looked at Wolfe. "You're enjoying this?" "I am engaged," Wolfe said. "Enjoyment is incidental." "Sure," I said. "Like breathing." He ignored that. "Archie, the sequence must be established with precision. The viewing, the sealing, the removal." "Blaine says the coffin was empty last night," I said, "after it was sealed." "Yes," Wolfe said. "Therefore, the body was removed after the viewing and before Mr. Blaine's observation, or during that observation if his account is incomplete." "And the notebook," I said. If Miss Vardas placed it in the coffin, it would have been removed at the same time, Wolfe said, unless it was never there. Vivian Dane says it wasn't, I said. Krell says it wasn't buried. Miss Vardas says she put it in. We've got a triangle with no angles. We have a triangle with 3 assertions and 1 fact, Wolfe said. Which is? The coffin was empty when Mr. Blaine saw it, Wolfe said. So that is the only fact we can provisionally accept. And the rest? Motives, Wolfe said, and motives are often misrepresented. I got up and went to the globe, spun it once and stopped it with a finger that landed somewhere in the Atlantic. So who benefits from an empty coffin? Wolfe said. The one who removes the body. Right, I said. And why remove the body? To control the narrative of death, Wolfe said. Yes, that's abstract, I said. Give me something I can put in a report. Wolfe's eyes narrowed slightly. If the body is absent, then death may be questioned. If death is questioned, then actions taken on the assumption of death may be invalidated. I stared at him. You're saying? I am suggesting, Wolfe said, that the removal of the body introduces doubt. About whether Vardas is actually dead, I said. Yes. I let that sit. It didn't like it. Doctor signed the certificate, I said. Heart attack, witnesses, viewing. All subject to manipulation, Wolfe said. Not easily, but not impossibly. You think Vardas isn't dead, I said. I think, Wolfe said, that someone wishes us to consider that possibility. That's a different thing, I said. Precisely, Wolfe said. The phone rang again. I picked it up. Nero Wolfe's office. The same voice. Calm, controlled, irritating. You have received your witness, it said. I felt my shoulders tighten. You're watching us. I am observing outcomes, the voice said. Tell Mr. Wolfe that the first inconvenience has been delivered. What do you want? I said. A resolution, the voice said. One that benefits those who deserve it. Define deserve, I said. That is Mr. Wolfe's task, the voice said. And if he declines? A pause. He will not. The line clicked dead again. I hung up slowly and looked at Wolfe. He knows about Blaine. Of course he does, Wolfe said. He arranged it. Arranged Blaine getting beaten, I said. Arranged Blaine being found, Wolfe corrected. The distinction is important. Why? I asked. Because it indicates control, Wolfe said. Our adversary does not merely react. He orchestrates. Then why tip us off? I said. Why not keep Blaine quiet? Because, Wolfe said, he wishes to introduce the element of the missing body at a time of his choosing. I frowned. To push us somewhere. Yes, Wolfe said. To a conclusion he prefers. Which is what? I asked. Wolfe leaned back, eyes half closing again, but this time there was nothing relaxed about it. Feel that Leon Vardas is not where he is supposed to be, he said, and that the truth of his location is more valuable than any notebook. I exhaled. So we've been looking for a book, and now we're looking for a man. Wolfe opened his eyes. We have always been looking for a man, Archie. We simply did not know which one. I nodded slowly. Then we'd better decide fast, because whoever's running this just moved us from guessing to chasing. Yes, Wolfe said, and I do not enjoy being made to chase. I didn't sit back down. When Wolfe reaches the point where he dislikes the direction of motion, it usually means he has decided to reverse it. Then we don't chase, I said. We make him come to us. Wolfe's eyes stayed on me. That is the correct instinct. Now apply it. Pressure, I said. We tighten the circle and make each of the 5 think the others are talking. Somebody cracks. Possibly, Wolfe said, but our adversary anticipates pressure. He has already demonstrated an ability to stage events. Then we change the stage, I said. Wolfe nodded once. Yes. I went to my desk and picked up the list. Krell, Dane, Pell, Tappan, and Miss Vardas. One of them knows more than they've said. Maybe more than one. And someone removed a body without help from amateurs. Therefore, Wolfe said, coordination. Inside access, I said. Funeral home, timing, knowledge of the viewing. That points back to our circle or someone close to it. Agreed, Wolfe said. Mr. Pell. The lawyer, I said. He hasn't spoken yet. Precisely, Wolfe said. He has the capacity to arrange, to advise, and to conceal. And to benefit, I said. If the notebook contains records that could damage his clients. Wolfe's lips moved slightly. Archie, telephone Mr. Pell. Request his presence here at once. Request, I said. Insist, Wolfe corrected. I reached for the phone and dialed. It took longer than I liked, but eventually a voice answered. Measured, cautious. Owen Pell. Archie Goodwin. Nero Wolfe wants to see you. A pause. Regarding? Regarding the inconvenience that has begun, I said. Another pause. Longer. I will be there. He hung up. I replaced the receiver and looked at Wolfe. He didn't argue. He is curious, Wolfe said. Curiosity will bring him. And the others? I asked. We will summon them, Wolfe said. Not yet. First, we will speak to Mr. Pell alone. To loosen him up, I said. To observe him, Wolfe said. Words are secondary. I nodded. You want Saul on Krell and Tappan? He is already engaged, Wolfe said. He will continue. Fred Durkin will observe Miss Dane. Ori Cather will locate Mr. Blaine's visitor. Tall hat, no smile, I said. Description is inadequate, Wolfe said. But patterns are not. Fritz came in to say that Mr. Blaine was settled. Wolfe acknowledged it with a nod and nothing more. Time moved. Not quickly, but steadily, the way it does when you're waiting for someone who has already decided to come. When the bell rang again, it had a different sound to it. Fritz brought Pell in. Owen Pell was exactly what you would expect from a man who charged by the hour and made it worth it. Mid-40s, careful suit, careful manner, eyes that didn't give anything away without billing for it. Mr. Wolfe, he said, inclining his head. Mr. Sir Goodwin. Sit down, Wolfe said. Pell sat. I understand there are concerns regarding my late client. Your client, Wolfe said mildly. Pell's expression didn't change. Mr. Vardas engaged my services. For what purpose? Legal counsel, Pell said. I prefer not to specify further. You will specify, Wolfe said, or you will leave. Pell considered that. General business matters, he said. Contracts, agreements. Confidential agreements, I said. He glanced at me. All agreements are confidential to some degree. Some more than others, I said. Wolfe said, Mr. Pell, a notebook is missing. Pell's hands remained still. I have heard rumors. From whom? I do not recall, Pell said. Then recall now, Wolfe said. Pell's eyes met Wolfe's. Mr. Krell mentioned it. Of course he did, I said. Wolfe continued. What is your interest in this notebook? Pell chose his words. If such a document exists, it may contain privileged information. Privileged to whom? Wolfe asked. To my clients, Pell said. Which clients? Pell hesitated. I cannot disclose that. Then you may consider your position compromised, Wolfe said. Pell's jaw tightened slightly. Mr. Wolfe, I'm here in good faith. You're here because you are concerned, Wolfe said. That is not the same. Silence sat for a second. I said, Mr. Pell, were you present at the viewing? Yes. Did you see Miss Vardas place anything in the coffin? No. Did you see anyone approach it after it was closed? No. Did you return to the funeral home later? I asked. No, Pell said. Did you have access to the prep room? I asked. No. Could you have obtained it? I said. Pell's eyes sharpened. What are you implying? That someone opened that coffin last night, I said, and found it empty. That landed. Not hard, but deep. Pell didn't move, but something behind his eyes did. Empty, he said. Yes, Wolfe said. The body was not present. Pell leaned back slowly. That is unlikely. It is established, Wolfe said. By whom? By observation, Wolfe said. Pell's gaze flicked between us. If that is true, then what? I said. Pell hesitated. Then there are serious implications. Such as, Wolfe said. Pell chose his words carefully. Such as the validity of the death certificate, the disposition of the estate, the execution of certain agreements. There it is, I said. The legal angle. Wolfe said, Mr. Pell, did Mr. Vardas express any concern regarding his safety prior to his death? Pell hesitated. He was cautious. Afraid? Wolfe asked. I would not say that. Would you say he anticipated betrayal? Wolfe asked. Pell looked at him. In business, that is always a possibility. Did he take measures against it? Wolfe asked. Pell paused. He sought to protect his interests. With a notebook? I said. Pell didn't answer. Wolfe said, Mr. Pell, you will listen carefully. A body has been removed from a sealed coffin. A document of potential significance is missing. An employee who witnessed an irregularity has been assaulted, and a person unknown is attempting to direct this investigation. Pell's face remained composed, but his fingers tightened slightly on the arm of the chair. You will now tell me, Wolfe continued, whether you have any knowledge that could illuminate these events. If you do not, you will leave. If you do, and fail to disclose it, you will regret that decision. Pell held his gaze for a long moment. Then he said, Mr. Wolfe, there was a provision. Wolfe didn't move. Explain. In one of Mr. Vardas's private agreements, Pell said slowly, there was a clause. A contingency. It specified that in the event of his death under certain conditions, control of specific assets would not pass as expected. To whom would it pass? I asked. Pell hesitated. To a third party. Name, Wolfe said. Pell exhaled. It was not named directly. It was designated by reference to a document. The notebook, I said. Pell nodded once. Wolfe's eyes sharpened. Then possession of the notebook determines control of those assets. Yes, Pell said. And the absence of a body introduces doubt as to whether the condition, death, has been satisfied, Wolfe said. Pell swallowed. Yes. I let out a low whistle. So whoever has the notebook might control the assets, and whoever controls the body controls whether the death counts. Wolfe inclined his head. A neat arrangement, Pell said quietly. It was designed to prevent betrayal. It has achieved the opposite, Wolfe said. I looked from one to the other. So now we know the game. Wolfe shook his head slightly. No, Archie. Now we know the stakes. And the players, I said. Wolfe's eyes narrowed. Not yet. I leaned against my desk and looked at Pell like he was a man who had just admitted to owning the knife, but not the wound. Let's make it simple, I said. And who benefits most if Vardas is legally dead but physically misplaced? Pell didn't answer immediately. He adjusted his cuff, buying time with a movement that probably cost his clients plenty. Several parties, he said finally. Name the one at the top, I said. He looked at Wolfe. Must I? Yes, Wolfe said. Pell exhaled. Daniel Krell. I nodded. Business partner, visible, vulnerable, as he put it. And positioned, Wolfe said, to assume control under ordinary circumstances. But not under these, I said. Not if the contingency is invoked, Pell said. Which depends on the notebook, I said, and the definition of death. Precisely, Pell said. I pushed off the desk. So Krell needs the notebook to secure control if the contingency applies. But he also needs Vardas to be unquestionably dead if it doesn't. Yes, Pell said. Meaning he's got incentive to control both, I said. Or to prevent others from doing so, Wolfe said. Pell leaned forward. Mr. Wolfe, I must insist. Mr. Krell is not a criminal. Few men consider themselves so, Wolfe said. I said, what about Miss Dane? Where does she fit? Pell hesitated. She is efficient. That's not a position, I said. She had access, Pell admitted, to schedules, to meetings, to information. And to Vardas, I said. Yes. And Tappan wants leverage, I said. So he wants the notebook. Pell wants it contained. Krell wants it controlled. Miss Dane wants... What? Wolfe said, stability. I looked at him. You're giving her a lot of credit. I am assigning her a motive consistent with her behavior, Wolfe said. She maintains order. The disruption is not to her advantage unless it results in a new order she can manage. Meaning she might help create it, I said. Or resist it, Wolfe said. The phone didn't ring this time. Instead, the doorbell did. Again, the third time in as many hours. I glanced at Wolfe. He nodded once. Fritz brought them in together, which was efficient and a little theatrical. Helen Vardas and Daniel Krell. Neither looked pleased to see the other. Well, I said. The circle tightens. Miss Vardas spoke first. Mr. Wolfe, I was told to come. By whom? Wolfe asked. A man called me, she said. He said if I wanted the truth about my brother, I should be here now. Krell's head snapped toward her. You too? Wolfe's eyes flicked to him. You were also summoned. Yes, Krell said. Same message. I let out a breath. Our friend is arranging a meeting. In my office, Wolfe said, not entirely pleased. Pell rose slightly. Mr. Wolfe, I was not informed. Sit down, Wolfe said. They all sat, though none of them liked it. I stayed standing. Wolfe looked at each of them in turn, taking his time. It wasn't wasted. We are assembled, he said, because someone has decided to accelerate events. That is unfortunate for him. Or her, I said. So, Wolfe inclined his head slightly. Or her. Miss Vardas said, Mr. Wolfe, what is happening? Your brother's body is missing, Wolfe said. That landed harder than anything so far. Krell went still. Pell didn't move at all. Miss Vardas made a small sound and gripped the arms of her chair. That's impossible, she said. It is actual, Wolfe said. Krell leaned forward. What are you saying? I am saying, Wolfe said, is that the coffin buried yesterday did not contain your partner's remains. Krell's face tightened. Then where is he? That is the question, Wolfe said. And the notebook, Miss Vardas said. Was it in the coffin? No, Wolfe said. She shook her head. I put it there. I know I did. Then it was removed, Wolfe said. Along with the body, or before. Krell looked at her sharply. You placed it in the coffin? Yes, she said. You were not supposed to, he said. She stared at him. He asked me to. Krell's mouth tightened. That was a mistake. Everything seems to be a mistake to you, she said. Enough, Wolfe said. They stopped. Wolfe let the silence settle, then continued. Mr. Pell has informed me, Wolfe said, of a contingency clause. And the disposition of certain assets depends on both the existence of a document and the confirmation of death. Miss Vardas looked at Pell. You knew. Pell said nothing. Krell said, This is not the time, it is precisely the time, Wolfe said, because someone has taken both the document and the body, and now seeks to manipulate the outcome. And you think it's one of us? Tappan's voice came from the doorway. We all turned. He stood there, uninvited but not unexpected, coat still on, expression unreadable. Of course, I said. Why should you miss the party? I was also invited, he said. Efficient, I said. Our friend doesn't like to repeat himself. Wolfe said, Come in, Mr. Tappan. Sit down. Tappan did. Now they were all there, every piece on the board in Wolfe's office, exactly where someone else had wanted them. I felt it then, the shift from investigation to confrontation. Wolfe leaned back, hands together, eyes moving from one to the next. You have all been manipulated, he said. Individually and collectively. You have each been given partial information, designed to provoke specific reactions. Krell said, By whom? Wolfe's gaze sharpened. That is what I will now determine. Miss Vardas said, You mean you don't know? Wolfe looked at her. I know enough. I smiled slightly. That was his way of saying he knew everything he needed. Wolfe continued, The removal of the body was not an act of concealment, but of control. The removal of the notebook was not an act of theft, but of leverage. The person responsible has ensured that each of you has reason to fear the others. That's true, I said. I've been watching it all day. And now, Wolfe said, he has brought you together, believing that confrontation will produce confusion. Tappan said, And will it? Wolfe's lips moved slightly. No. Silence held. Wolfe leaned forward. Because, he said, I have already determined which of you had both the opportunity and the necessity to arrange these events. I felt it land before he said the name. The room tightened, every eye on him. Wolfe spoke, calm and precise. Mr. Pell, he said, you will explain why you arranged for your client's death to be ambiguous. Pell didn't move. For a second, nothing happened. Then his shoulders dropped, just slightly. I see, he said quietly. Krell stared at him. What? Miss Vardas whispered. No. Tappan smiled, thin and satisfied. I said, Go on, counselor. The floor's yours. Pell looked at Wolfe. You're certain? Yes, Wolfe said. Pell nodded once. Then there's no point in denial. Krell surged to his feet. You... Sit down, Wolfe said, and he did. Pell folded his hands. Leon Vardas came to me 3 months ago, he said. He believed he was being betrayed by more than one person in this room. That's not news, I said. He wanted protection, Pell said. Not just legal, practical. He devised the contingency. The notebook was the key. And you helped him set it up, I said. Yes, Pell said. But I also saw the flaw. Which was, Wolfe said. That once created, the mechanism could be used against him, Pell said, by anyone who obtained the notebook. So you decided to get it first, I said. Yes, Pell said. And the body? I asked. Pell's voice was steady now. If he were unquestionably dead, the contingency could be contested. If there were doubt, it could be controlled. So you removed him, I said. Pell shook his head. No, I moved him. Miss Vardas stared at him. What do you mean? Pell met her eyes. Your brother is not dead. The room went still. I looked at Wolfe. He didn't react. Krell said hoarse, That's impossible. Pell said he agreed to it. We staged the death. The heart condition was real, but not fatal. He wanted to disappear until the situation clarified. And the notebook, I said. In my possession, Pell said. Tappan let out a low laugh. Well played. Krell stared at Pell like he had never seen him before. You planned this? Pell nodded. To protect him and myself. And then someone else took over the game, I said. Yes, Pell said. Someone who discovered enough to interfere. Wolfe inclined his head. and that someone is not you." "No," Pell said. I looked around the room. "So now we've got a living man who's supposed to be dead, a missing notebook that decides who gets what, and a third player who's been pulling strings." Wolfe's eyes moved, slow and deliberate. "Yes," he said, "and now that all the pieces are visible, the final move is inevitable." I grinned slightly. "Good," I said, because I was getting tired of guessing. The room held still after Pell's admission, but it wasn't the quiet of resolution. It was the kind that comes just before something breaks or settles into place. Wolfe didn't hurry. He never did, especially when everyone else wanted him to. I said, "All right." Pell staged the death, kept the notebook, and moved Vardas. So that explains the setup. It doesn't explain the interference. Someone else knew enough to step in, send letters, beat up Blaine, and pull us all into this room. Wolfe nodded faintly. "Correct." Krell leaned forward, eyes burning. "Then who?" Miss Vardas was staring at Pell. "Where is my brother?" Pell hesitated. "Safe." "That's not an answer," she said. "It is the only one you require at present," Pell said. "That's enough," I said. "We've got a missing body that isn't missing, a notebook that decides who owns what, and a mystery conductor who likes invitations. Wolfe, you said you knew enough. Start talking." Wolfe's gaze moved slowly across the room, resting for a fraction longer on one face before shifting again. When he spoke, it was with the calm precision that meant the end was already arranged. "Mr. Pell," he said, "your design was clever but incomplete. You accounted for betrayal among your clients, but not for observation outside your circle." Pell frowned. "What do you mean?" "You assumed secrecy," Wolfe said, "but you employed intermediaries. Schedules were adjusted. Access was granted. A coffin was substituted. These actions leave traces, not in documents, but in patterns." I said, "And someone saw the pattern." "Yes," Wolfe said. "Someone with access to movement, timing, and information. Someone who observed without being observed." His eyes settled now, finally, on Vivian Dane. She didn't move. Krell turned his head slowly toward her. "Vivian?" Miss Vardas blinked. "No." Tappan leaned back, watching. I said, "That would explain a few things." Wolfe continued, "Miss Dane, you managed Mr. Vardas's schedule. You knew who met him, when, and under what circumstances. You knew of Mr. Pell's involvement, though not its full extent. But you perceived enough to recognize that something unusual was being arranged." Vivian Dane's hands were folded in her lap, perfectly still. "You observed inconsistencies," Wolfe said. "Cancellations, private meetings, instructions given outside normal channels. You concluded that a contingency was in motion. You did not know the details, but you knew its purpose, to control outcomes through uncertainty." Krell said, "That's absurd." Wolfe ignored him. "You then took steps," Wolfe said. "You ensured access to the funeral home. You arranged for the coffin to be opened, not to remove the body, which Mr. Pell had already relocated, but to confirm its absence. You sent the letter to me to introduce a variable outside the existing structure." I said, "Yes, and you tipped off Blaine without meaning to." "Or maybe you did." Vivian Dane's eyes moved to me, briefly. Wolfe said, "Mr. Blaine's presence was incidental. His observation accelerated your plan, but did not originate it. You allowed him to survive, but ensured he was frightened enough to remain useful." Saul had been quiet in the doorway. Now he shifted slightly. Miss Vardas said, "Why?" Wolfe answered for her. "Because she understood that control of the notebook and the body meant control of everything. And she intended to prevent any one party from achieving that control." Krell stared at her. What, you wanted it for yourself?" Vivian Dane spoke for the first time since Wolfe began. "No," she said calmly. "I wanted balance. That landed differently. Tappan smiled faintly. Ah, she continued. Leon created a system based on distrust. Pell exploited it. Krell would have used it. Tappan would have contested it, and I would have been left to manage the collapse. That's not your decision to make, Krell snapped. It became my decision when all of you failed to consider the consequences, she said. I said, so you brought Wolfe in to stabilize it. Yes, she said, because he is not invested in the outcome, only in the truth. Wolfe inclined his head slightly. A partial truth. I'm invested in order. She nodded. Then we are aligned. Miss Vardas leaned forward. Where is my brother? Vivian Dane looked at her. Safe. Pell stiffened. You don't know that. She held his gaze. I know enough. Wolfe said, Mr. Pell, Miss Dane has not interfered with your arrangement beyond exposing it. Now your client remains where you placed him. Pell hesitated, then nodded once. Krell said, then what happens now? Wolfe leaned back, steepling his fingers. Now, he said, we restore equilibrium. I said, meaning? Mr. Pell will produce the notebook, Wolfe said. Pell hesitated. That would prevent its misuse, Wolfe said, and eliminate the leverage that has destabilized this situation. Pell looked around the room, then at Wolfe. And the body? Mr. Vardas will be returned, Wolfe said, alive, and his death will be corrected. Miss Vardas exhaled sharply. Krell said, that will create complications. Yes, Wolfe said, but fewer than the alternative. Tappan nodded. I can live with that. Of course you can, I said. You're getting your argument back. Vivian Dane said nothing. Wolfe looked at her. Miss Dane, your intervention was effective but unnecessary. Had you allowed events to proceed, the outcome would have been similar. She met his gaze. I prefer certainty. And I prefer control, Wolfe said. We have both achieved a measure of it. Silence settled again, but this time it was different. Not tension, completion. I said, so that's it? We hand back the notebook, revive the dead man, and everyone goes home? Not quite, Wolfe said. He looked at Pell. You will amend the agreements to remove the contingency. Pell nodded slowly. Yes. Wolfe looked at Krell. You will accept the revised structure? Krell hesitated, then nodded. Tappan, Wolfe said. You will pursue your claims through legal means. Tappan smiled. Always intended to. And Miss Dane, Wolfe said, you will continue to manage what remains. She inclined her head. I, as always. Wolfe leaned back, closing his eyes briefly. It is resolved, he said. That was that. Later, after they had gone, each with their own version of victory or defeat, I sat at my desk with a glass in hand and looked at Wolfe. You knew it was her before they came in, I said. Yes, Wolfe said. From what? From what was not said, Wolfe replied. And from what was done without acknowledgement. I nodded. She wanted balance. She wanted control of instability, Wolfe said. A subtle distinction. And Pell. Ambitious but cautious, Wolfe said. He created a system he believed he could manage. He underestimated observation. And Vardas? Wolfe opened his eyes. A man who believed that secrecy could protect him from consequence. He was mistaken. I finished my drink. Nice of him to come back to life and learn that. Wolfe made a small sound. Life is often instructive in ways one does not anticipate. Fritz came in to announce dinner. Wolfe rose. Archie, he said, pausing at the door. What is your conclusion? I thought about it. A coffin's a bad place to hide anything important, I said. Too many people interested in what's inside. Wolfe nodded once. Precisely, he said, especially when the contents are not what they appear to be. He went to eat. I stayed a moment longer, then followed, figuring that in a house where the dead didn't stay dead and secrets didn't stay buried, dinner was the only thing you could count on.